We've got Michael Fabricant here, the Prime Minister talking tough on migrants. The Home Secretary will be talking tough later today. Can you take any credit in this?
Well, we had an away day. First time in about 6-7 years, actually, at a very nice hotel in Egham in West London. And that was all the MPs, all the Conservative MPs, obviously, with the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. And one of the things came out was, look, we have got to stop these illegal crossings. I mean, you know, your reporter said quite rightly, 46,000 almost came last year. We don't know how many thousands were actually drowned in the process. So, you know, this has to stop. Now, we were saying constantly, you know, to Rishi, you know, something's got to be done. But what we didn't expect was it to happen so quickly. And today at possibly 12:30, there may be something called an urgent question, which actually will come before the statement. But anyway, early afternoon, we'll be hearing the full details.
Yeah, and look, it's a dreadful phrase, but this is red meat for the Conservative Party members, for the grassroots. It's a huge issue of concern for the population, so it's good politics. But can he and Suella Braverman legally get what they want to do through?
Well, I had a meeting last night with Sue Braverman, and she said that they're going to say, actually, well, I'm not going to go into, because it's boring, about the various clauses and opt-outs, but we can do it. And, you know, the interesting thing is they do this sort of thing in Denmark and Sweden. So it's actually not that unusual, because there's a sort of industry, isn't there, in this country, of people who sort of talk about the refugees and how evil the government is and we should allow everybody in. But actually, we're not doing anything more than what some of these Scandinavian countries are doing, and they're members, too, of the human rights courts of justice. I think the problem, to be honest with you, is that Tony Blair, when he was in, and, you know, it's not that long ago, brought in the Human Rights Act. And this was a new thing. And unintended consequences are that you could get a single judge late at night saying that the Rwandan flight is not going ahead, and it stopped it. And we, in this Act of Parliament, will say, no, that can't stop us.
But even if, you know, the lawyers weren't preventing, for example, the flights to Rwanda, when we're talking about 45,000 people coming in through small boats last year, there's only 300 spaces available, or 200 even, in Rwanda. It's not even going to touch the surface of the problem.
Well, I think the aim is to actually deter people. First of all, there will be more space found. We've done a treaty with Albania. A lot of the people are coming from Albania, which is not the backward country. I've been to Albania. It's actually a very nice country, you know, and Albania has agreed they can be sent back there. Years ago, we had a treaty with France that we could send them back to France. I mean, the irony is people, the refugees, and we'll call them refugees, but most of them actually are economic migrants, are travelling through safe countries like Germany and France. And under international treaty, you should be able to get asylum in the very first country, which is safe. Yeah. Instead, they're going across all these other safe countries, including Switzerland, and wanting to come to this golden nirvana, which is the United Kingdom. We should be flattered.
Michael, all these countries, and I was surprised looking at this today, including Austria, have big migrant problems. Germany and France, they have far bigger problems than we have. And we try and make it out that, you know, they just hand all the migrants over to us. But it's not the case.
No, it's not the case. And I think, in fairness, if I were the French, I wouldn't want them back either, you know. I mean, I do understand that. But then I also understand that my constituents in Lichfield can't get an appointment to see their doctor.
And you think that's because of migrants?
I don't think it is in Lichfield, to be honest with you. But it is in other parts. Look, 46,000 last year. There was another 40,000 the year before that. It's bound to put pressure on our health service, schools, and all the rest. And anyway, it encourages the people traffickers and it encourages drowning, you know. So we've got to do something to deter people from coming here.
What about Matt Hancock? More revelations in the Telegraph this morning. At this time, we were hearing very unfortunate trading going on behind the scenes, where he was saying he was going to block funding for a disabled children's hub if this MP didn't support his COVID tier restrictions.
Well, I mean, in the end, it didn't happen at all. But to even talk about it was rather stupid, but not half as stupid as giving his phone to Isabel Oakeshott and expecting a journalist not to look at all this ripe WhatsApp comments going on, some of which he knew would never happen, and think, you know what, she's not going to use it. Well, she did. And more fool Matt Hancock, who I like, but, you know, you really think, how naive can you get?
What about your friend Boris Johnson wanting to give his dad a knighthood? I mean, we can understand the sentiment. We all love our parents, usually. But Keir Starmer saying it's outrageous. What on earth is he getting a knighthood for?
Well, I mean, Keir Starmer is going on to the popular line there because I think 55% of the population have said they think it's wrong. And it's certainly a bad look, you know, giving your own dad a knighthood. But you asked me, what is he getting the knighthood for? Look, Stanley Johnson was a conservationist years before people talked about conservation.
No one else wanted to give him a knighthood for his...
Well, somebody else should have given him, because he was a member of the European Parliament. He was arguing for conservation of rare species. He's written several learned books on the subject. Nobody gave him, but maybe the problem was because he was Boris Johnson's dad, but...
So you don't have an issue with it. You think the man probably deserves it?
I think actually he does deserve it, but not because he's Boris Johnson's dad. He deserves it for all the work he's done on conservation. He came up actually a few years ago to Lichfield and gave a speech on rare tigers and other things that he's involved in and various charities.
Do you have many rare tigers in Lichfield?
Well, Eamonn, you've got to come to Lichfield. I want a commitment from you. You're going to come to Lichfield and see our rare tigers.
I'm often passing on the motorway. I see the signpost for it, but I've never been.
You should. It's a beautiful little city.
I'll take your word for that. Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Michael Fabricant there, MP for Lichfield.